You know, there's a lot of power in having nothing. There's a lot of power in having nothing. Owning nothing, but you get something. You know, if those people, the types of people that have nothing, but by the end they gain something, by nothing more than just sheer will, determination, you know, breaking the back, just working their ass off. And the only thing they have is this mentality, is what they've built through hard work. You know, the underdogs, the people who are quietly working away in the background, and you've seen him loads. You know, you might have seen this person a few times. You passed him, but he was very much in on himself a lot, very introverted, and never really spoke a lot. On, he wasn't flashy or anything. You know, those are the types of people I respect the most, the underdogs. And as human beings, we usually relate to underdogs more. You know, we all love an underdog story. You know, a movie like Rocky Balboa. You know, he gets up in the 15th round or the 16th or whatever. But the point is that we all can relate. You know, because a lot of us start from nothing. Everybody has the ability to start from nothing to get to something. Everybody has the ability to get something if they choose that path. But not everybody chooses that path. Everybody, a lot of people have it in their mind that the universe owes them something, that everyone owes them something. You know, it's everybody else that need to cater to me. You know, that's not how the world works. So you've got to be a realist. If you want to go out and achieve something, you've got to do phenomenal things. You've got to be someone you've never been before. You've got to set that. You've got to get rid of the governor on your mind. You've got to get that governor off. And really, you've got to learn to enjoy being in pain and enjoy just to endure it and go way beyond the end point. Whenever there's an end point, but a lot of people are very happy about when something is going to end, when it's going to be over, when the agony is going to be over. It's like going back to when Goggins said his instructors used to sometimes go way past beyond the end point, and that's when he started taking souls. Heads would start dropping and he would start taking souls, and a lot of people became very unhappy that day. But he used to love it when the drill sergeants, the instructors, would go way past the end point, and they would have to just endure that run for so many minutes or hours or whatever. And there's so much power in enjoying the things that not so many people enjoy. If you actually enjoy the hard things in life and getting up at a certain time and being regimented and organised and structured, and you can beat the day before the day begins, and you can be like, fuck you, I've beaten the day already. I've already done something hard to get the day started. And if you can really learn to appreciate the simple things in life, just appreciate that you can walk and you can talk and you can run and you can exercise, and you're using what so many people have the ability to do but choose not to. There's a lot of power to that, because so many people have this ability to get up and go out for a run and do these hard things, but when you have something that everybody else does not have, there's so much fucking power to that. If you do not care about the masses, if you do not care what everybody else gets up to, and you're locked in your own life, and the only thing that really matters to you is your own work, what you put into yourself, you know, the things that you get up to, your regimen, being disciplined, you know, and you've really started to take care of yourself, you now have something. You've now gained something. And that is so much more rewarding and better than doing the easy things in life, you know, feeling like you're competing against everybody else, because the fact of the matter is you're not competing against everybody else. You're in your own league. You're in a league of your own. You know, it's almost as though you've got these different, like you've got these different lenses on now. You can see clearly, you know, your vision is perfect on what life is. And when you realise that there's so much fucking shit out there, what people are consuming, and the noise and the toxicity, and you have the ability to be like, you know, fuck this. You know, I don't want to be on social media anymore. I don't want to poison my mind. I don't want to eat shit. I don't want to feel like shit. But I need to change. So how do I change? So you sit down and you figure out ways to develop yourself. You write shit down, and you really start to change your self-talk. You know, your belief system, how you talk to yourself. You know, all these things that people take for granted, the mindset. You know, if you don't have this strong will, and you don't have this iron will to just want to do things for yourself, to do more, because ultimately that is what helps you get over depression. It helps you become a better you and be happier, because you no longer care anymore. You no longer care what people think. So if you do not have this, you can't really begin. Like you have to care. You know, you have to care about yourself. You have to care about where your life is ending up if you don't fix something. And you know, there was something that I came across. This guy once said, "There's no perfect time to really begin. The only time, the best time to begin, like it was something like 10 years ago, but the best time now. The best time is now. You know, just beginning is the perfect conditions just to begin. Don't wait for next week or next month. Just start. And just by starting, you're doing a lot more than what other people are doing. But at the same time, the whole point of you working on yourself, it's not about anybody else, it's yourself. So, that being said, don't care about what anybody else is doing, what they're getting up to in life, because it's only about you. And then once you really go deep and you go dark and you cut out all this shit and social media and junk food and eating for the sake of eating and all these, you know, all this shit, you can now help other people that you care about, you know, your loved ones in your circle. You can now help them because you're helping yourself. And just all what I've been talking about right here, usually the best people who are very successful they know what hard work is, they know what it means to struggle, and they actually take more care of what they have than the people who have never gone through the underdog story. They've never struggled. They've always been well off. They've always been taken care of. But when you are literally fighting for yourself, and it's not an easy ride, you know, you do start to become more appreciative of the things that you do have once you earn them. You know, it's like if you have a great car right now, but you started off with a little smart car or something, you know, that was only about £300 or something, but now you drive a friggin' Rolls Royce or whatever, but you've never had one in your life, and now you've earned the position to own a nice car. You're going to be taking care of it. You know, you're really going to take more care of that car, because you know that you've struggled, and the hard work it's took for you to get that car, you know, or whatever materialistic thing you've bought. It's about you know, it really is about just knowing where you came from. So the fact that I'm not like anybody else, but I'm not in anybody else's shoes, that I'm on my own journey. Nobody else is on this, you know, and the fact that I have this ability to just own myself in the position I am makes me stand out, and it puts me in a very, very good position to that, you know, that sets me up to just want, you know, that just makes me want to be the best me there is, the best version of me that's waiting for me. And you know, it truly is a blessing to, you know, to be alive, to have this ability to really just know that I can work with something now. You know, like, it's like tomorrow, you know, and the day after that, we're not always, you know, obviously we're not always guaranteed tomorrow, but just knowing that when you're very strict on where you want to end up, and you just begin, you wake up at 6 and you go for a run, it means a lot. It's you can't explain it to other people. You know, like, this hard work, you can flip the table and you can say, I get to get up and suffer, and I get to grind, and I get to work on myself, you know, rather than saying I have to because of X, Y, Z, you know, I don't want to, but I have to. You know, instead saying you get to, it's so much better saying you get to do something, and you get to stand out and be different, and you don't have to be like everybody else, and giving yourself a freedom to be like, you know, I'm different, but I don't care, because I've been so through much shit and everything, that I know my self-worth and my value, and nobody else really is relevant. Nobody else who I don't know, they're not relevant in my life, so I don't give a shit about them. They're not there with me, so who gives a fuck about everybody else's opinion? You know, it really is just about owning yourself and having some self-worth and some pride, some solidarity, some you know, some self-worth. You know, that's all there is to it. Just owning yourself and really having some dignity and pride. You know, the things that money can't buy.